Hi everyone, my name is Joanna. I'm an immigration attorney practicing since 2012 and located in the San Francisco, California Bay Area. And you're watching our channel, Quick Question. Today's quick question is, my wife petitioned me and we've already submitted everything to the NVC. When will I be interviewed? The short answer to this question is that there is no short answer. The answer is it depends. And I know that people do not like this response, but it does. It depends on whether or not he's married to a US citizen or he's married to a legal permanent resident. It also depends on what country he's from. So those are the two controlling factors here. It's your family member. Are they legal permanent residents or are they citizens? And also, what country are you from? Now, I just mentioned the NVC. The NVC stands for National Visa Center. The National Visa Center is the agency that is in charge of compiling all the evidence in support of your case and determining that it's documentarily qualified, that you've submitted all the evidence that you need to submit in order to proceed with your consular interview. Once the NVC has determined that you have all the evidence, they send that to the consulate that will be interviewing you, and they let you know, we've already sent it to the consulate, you just need to hold tight and wait until you get that interview. NVC has told us that there's a very extensive wait list for people who are waiting for their interviews at the consulates, and they're blaming COVID. Like many times, a lot of people in a lot of places blame COVID. But in reality, what I think is happening is that the previous presidential administration put many obstacles and many reasons why certain groups of family members in certain countries couldn't open their consulates, couldn't interview them. So there was already a backlog. There was already a lot of people waiting for their interviews when COVID hit, and now the backlog is even longer. So let's talk about family petitions. There's two big groups. One of the groups is immediate relatives, or the IRs. The other group is the preferential categories. Now, for purposes of today's video, we are going to talk about preferential categories. So I don't want to go too deep into what immediate relatives are, but I will tell you who they are. So immediate relatives are three groups of people. If you are the spouse of a US citizen, if you are an unmarried child under 21 who has a US citizen father or mother, and if you are a father or a mother and you have a US citizen son or daughter who is over the age of 21. So only those three groups of people would be immediate relatives. But those are not the people that we're talking about for purposes of today's video. We want to know, why is the NVC taking so long for the people that are in the second group, which is the preference category, the irony of that. So let's imagine that family petitions are a pie. And in that pie, each country gets 7%. It doesn't matter how big the country is, it doesn't matter how many millions of people live in that country, they only get 7% of that pie. And 7% represents 29,610 people, or 29,610 visas. And right now, the top countries that are on that wait list are Mexico, the Dominican Republic, the Philippines, India, and Vietnam. So those are the countries that have the most amount of people waiting for their visas to become available. Now let's talk about the preferential category. The first one is F1. F1 is son or daughter of a US citizen who's over 21 and is not married. For F1, you can only approve 23,400 a year. And the countries that have more visas waiting for this is Mexico, the Philippines, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Haiti. And only 23,400 are approved each year. The second preference category is F2A and F2B. F2A is the spouse and the children of a legal permanent resident. Now those children have to be under 21 and not married. F2B is sons and daughters that are not married but are over 21 of legal permanent residence. So this is what's considered second preference category. F2A, spouse or children unmarried under 21 of a legal permanent resident, and F2B are children that are not married and over 21 of a legal permanent resident. For this second category, only 114,200 visas are approved each year. And countries that have the longest wait lists are Mexico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Haiti, and the Philippines. Let's talk about third preference categories. F3. F3 are sons and daughters that are married of U.S. citizens. And for them, the limit every year is 23,400. The top 5 countries that have the most amount of people waiting under F3, Mexico, the Philippines, India, Vietnam, and the Dominican Republic. Now, notice that a son or a daughter of a U.S. citizen has a category if they're married or if they're not. So F1 is a son or a daughter that is not married of a U.S. citizen who has a shorter wait. F3 is a son or a daughter of a U.S. citizen that is married, and there is a longer wait there. But in the category of sons and daughters of legal permanent residents, you cannot be married. If you get married, you lose the petition. Let's talk about fourth preference, F4. F4 is brothers or sisters of U.S. citizens. For F4s, they can only approve 65,000 a year, and the top countries with waiting lists are Mexico, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and China. Now, it is speculated that the wait list for this is over 15 years. So if you're going to petition your brother or your sister, I suggest you do it yesterday, because you are going to be waiting for 15 or more years until that visa becomes available. Compare these numbers to 2019. In 2019, there was 60,866 on the wait list on a monthly basis. Compare that to the numbers that I have given you today, where there are millions of people on these wait lists, and it was all because of COVID. So we hope that they will hire more consular officers. We hope that these interviews can be done in a more efficient way. One of my recommendations is hire an attorney. And I know that this might sound very self-serving, and maybe it is, but if you have an attorney who's guiding you through the process, it is so much easier, it is so much smoother, and this is a very stressful process. Your life or death depends on this. The ability for you to remain in the U.S. with your family members depends on being able to complete this process successfully. The affidavit of support can be expired. You might not meet the minimum poverty guidelines. Do you need a co-sponsor? Do you need to translate documents? Do you need to get certified criminal dispositions? There's so many questions that come up, and a good lawyer will be able to answer these questions. Now notice that there are certain family members that I have not mentioned during this video, and that's because these categories for family petitions do not exist. A grandmother cannot petition their grandchild. Grandchild cannot petition a grandmother. Aunt and uncle cannot petition a nephew or a niece, or vice versa. Cousins cannot petition each other. I know that as much as you love each other and as much as you want to help each other, under U.S. immigration law, there is no category for those family members. The only family members that can petition other family members are parents, children, spouses, and brothers and sisters. Do you have a quick question?